I appreciate, first of all, everyone coming to honor my daughter, Sarah, as well as the rest of the family here, my other wonderful daughter, uh, and the immediate family. And it's very difficult. I don't know what to say. I'm not going to write things down because I know Sarah enough that it's about what goes on in my heart. And I believe as well that though we have immediate family here, the rest of everybody here are family. We're a family in blood, and we were a family in friendships. And this is what a testimony to the feelings about Sarah. So as her mom and the rest of our family, I really thank you. I thank you for all the years that you and Sarah have had connections. I thank my wonderful son-in-law, Edwin, as a wonderful man. You know, when Sarah was home for a while and I would stay overnight, and the two of them, they stayed up late every night. I'd be trying to go to bed. They're up at midnight, walking around, having desserts. It's just beautiful. I'd come out there and anyway, I didn't, like I said, I don't know what I'm going to say. Sarah, she, you know, Deacon Wong was talking spiritually about Sarah. And I can tell you that Sarah modeled what it's like to walk through something that is so, people say to me, in the loss of my daughter, I can't imagine. Well, number one, I can't imagine. I still can't. And people have helped me. Why would I be able to get my arms around something like this? But I wasn't, and I always said this to Sarah. Sarah, I'm not in your shoes. But you model hope for me because of the example that you set. Never complaining to God, never saying, God, get me out of this. But can you help me walk through it? And I would tell her that, and she'd say, oh, Mom. And I said, no, take it in, please, because it's the truth. Growing up, I want to also say thank you to the grandparents who have passed on, who were such a big participation in Sarah's life. And I want to thank them and her father. And we got two great, wonderful daughters out of this. And we didn't have a good toolbox. Right, Ben? But I read said my marriage license turned out to be a learner's permit. So I want to commend Ben as well. And this wonderful daughter was Sarah's, no, I can't say was, is Sarah's rock. Really. Stacy, the two of them, Stacy, not only a wonderful daughter, but helped her sister so much. You know, when Sarah was growing up in San Francisco, I was working a couple of jobs, and Stacy, she was there. She was there, you know, helping her try to get her color scheme for her dress code right. And just an amazing person. So thank you, Stacy. Thank you so much. And I was just privileged and privileged to have the relationship that I've had with Sarah. Several years ago, Sarah growing up, living in Oakland, Sarah took me here. And I said, Sarah, why are we going to the mausoleum? And she said, Mom, it's beautiful inside. And it is. We went up the second floor and we used to sit there and just visit. And so I'm very grateful to be back here. I'm not sure what else to say. You know, people come up to me and say, Linda, I can't imagine. Truthfully, I can't either. I can't. In my opinion, and I'm sure people would agree with me, I'm supposed to go first. But like I said, her spirituality, her just her connection with, she called God her higher power. And Sarah had a beautiful connection. And I'll just, we're going to have a reception later, and I hope you can all join us. But I want to tell you something that she said to me. With all the pain she's had, 24/7 for 5 months, they were in the hospital, and she took my hand. It was fun. And she said, Mom, I'm not saying goodbye. I'm saying hello. And I looked at her and I thought, this is the God of evidence for that to come through her. She had a peace in her soul. And I thought, you know, she is, you know, we always say that she's in a better place. Oh, God, yes. God, yes. As a parent and as family, and I'm sure close people, the finality is now what I walked through, all of us, and I couldn't do it without the support. You know, many of you I don't know, but yet I know you through Sarah. So thank you very, 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 very much. And, you know, I talked to Sarah. That's what I do. I asked her this morning, you think these clothes are okay today? Of course, I dress better than Sarah. No, she had her own thing, you know. She loved Forever 21, and she used to call it Forever 47. Thank you.
Just got reminded that I could say something about Sarah. I thought I was going to say that the celebration of life. So I'm also likewise unprepared, but I will speak from the heart about Sarah. Thank you. Everybody here, I'm very grateful for you coming over. there's people here from there's very deep friends that we have here aside from most family. We also have somebody here from from the place she worked, last work before she got disabled by migraine. And I'm so grateful for, for you being here. Um, Sarah touched many lives. Um, Sarah to live a life of relationships. That's who she was. And when I say that, I mean, really, she wanted to live a life of relationships. And so whenever she saw you, she really saw you. And she was focused on you. She smiled, wanted to have meaningful conversations with you, ask you about your life. And she really listened. It was very clear. I've been receiving, I've met people since her death. And, there's certain words that keep on coming from them. Always, it's amazing, the same words. One word is bright. It was a bright light. Another word is she's always smiling and very energetic when she greets you. Another was she was sweet. Um, it was whenever she came into our family gatherings, it's like the sunshine was coming into the room. It was palpable, and so it's understandable that my family ended up loving her so much. And for her friends too, her friends, she has a lot of friends here. We met within the context of finding our spirituality. And finding a better way to live. And so we met a lot of people. And a lot of them are here with us. We traveled that journey. And they miss her too. They will tell you that they miss her so much. You know, I was so blessed by my relationship with her because, again, Sarah is a relationship person. The way I might live my relationship would be like, we're living together, and I would be like, if it wasn't Sarah, I would be very quiet on my computer. And in general, our lives would be like two ships passing each other in the night, not really connecting. So I couldn't stand that. And I couldn't stand her always asking me, "How are you doing? What's wrong?" And she would see it before I could even. And then we would have all these, sit down, I'm okay. And then, I get irritable at her and angry, my character defect. If you may know, I get angry in an instant. And, she wouldn't put up with it, you know, she wouldn't put up with it at all. And she would say it from a perspective of being hurt. And I never realized truly what being hurt means until I had a relationship with Sarah, because I thought people just screamed at each other and yelled and expressed anger with each other. I never thought that people got hurt. I'm sorry, by the way, for anybody here who I raged at her last time. But Sarah gave it to me that hurt because Sarah is a relationship person. And maybe somebody might call her too sensitive. I don't want to call her that. She knew what real relationships meant. And real relationships meant that you cared for the other person and you loved the person. And so I would get dragged into these conversations because she wanted to find out why I was angry and irritable and mean. Because and she told me, talk to this with your therapist. And and she would and then you know how she would finally end up feeling reassured when I finally from the bottom of my heart kind of talked about my hurt, my pain, my vulnerability. In other words, when she started seeing what she called the little boy inside Edwin, that was when she felt, oh, okay, I've taken care of this. Edwin's gonna be all right. And I was the one who was angry and hurt her. That's who Sarah is. And I have a lot more to say. Um, everybody loves Sarah. Everybody, without fail. Uh, and she was a bright light. She will be sorely missed. But I'm a changed person because of Sarah. And Sarah's still here because of how she has impacted all of us, because of how she has impacted me. I was telling my therapist, I want to keep on loving Sarah, but how do you love Sarah who's not there anymore? How do you love somebody? You cannot hug, kiss, tell them you love them, and do things with them. How do you keep on loving somebody who doesn't seem to be there? And that's what I'm trying to find out. And I know that Sarah moved in the world from a certain um, inner core of values and principles about people. And I will always carry that with me. I will always remember, that, look at the other person, take the person's point of view, really be interested, in the person you're talking to. And I will try to, learn some more how I can continue loving Sarah, even though she's passed away, because I want to do that. And I just want to leave with that message, which is love and caring, because I think that's what Sarah would want for all of us to examine in our lives. How love and caring is manifesting. So she's inviting all of us to do that and to be mindful of each other's feelings, each other's welfare as much as possible. We're not perfect, but it's a striving that we can have in our honor. Thank you very much.
I met Antisera when I was really young, but I have very fond memories of her. I remember her always being really sweet and kind and caring, and I love seeing her at Christmas time and at family get-togethers. And I really miss her a lot. I love her. And
Good afternoon, family and friends. In behalf of the Matumbako and the Guzman family, thank you all again for being here today as we celebrate the life of our beloved Sarah de Guzman. I had to write this down because I didn't want to break down and really ugly cry, so I had to get through this. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Lorena. I am Edwin's beautiful baby sister.
It's lovely.
Well, maybe not, but that's what Sarah would tell me. Every time we got together, Sarah would tell me how beautiful I looked, even though in truth, she was the one who lit up the room. With her bright light and positive energy, Sarah's beauty was inside and out. Every family get-together, she was so attentive. She always made sure everyone was comfortable and had a drink at hand. Even in the hospital, she was the one in bed and offering us Gatorade. So, ginger ale. Every time we got together, every family get together, she was attentive again. She would never ask you, how you doing, and pass it. Sarah would sit you down, and she would sit next to you and look you in the eyes and ask, how are you? And she would engage you in conversation because she genuinely wanted to know. She never took anything for granted. She appreciated every kind gesture, no matter how small. Once our eldest sister, Yoli, who lives in Australia, came for a visit, and she gave Sarah a present. Sarah was so delighted to see the bag it came in because it had pictures of cats. And Sarah loves and adores cats. So she marveled at the bag for a couple minutes. Finally, I said, Sarah, that's just the bag. The present is inside. What are the present? But then Sarah was equally thrilled to see the beautiful bow. Well, look how pretty the bow is, Nina. I smiled and say, sis, that's just the ribbon. Open the present is inside. She paused for a moment and then looked at me and said, but Nina, Auntie Yoli took the time to get me this present. And then she took the time to find the perfect gift bag. And then she took the time to tie this pretty ribbon. And I just really appreciate all of it. I was in awe of her because most people would just open the present and say, thank you for the gift. I'm guilty of that too. But Sarah really appreciated the time and effort people made for her. On another occasion, my brother Mike and his wife Norma visited Sarah at the hospital. And they brought Sarah some beautiful products because Sarah loves Sephora. Right then and there, Sarah opened up the jar and started putting face cream all over her face. She was so happy and grateful that they thought of her. But that was Sarah. She didn't take anything for granted, and she was grateful for even the smallest kind gesture. She savored every interaction. She savored every conversation, every connection, every relationship. The fact that there are so many people here today to celebrate her life speaks volumes of how far-reaching Sarah's love went and how much she touched everyone's lives. From the first day I met Sarah, there was never the awkward, oh, nice to meet you. How do you do? How long have you been dating my brother? There was never that awkward moment. From the very beginning, from the first time Sarah met our family, she called me Ina, the nickname that only my family calls me. From that day we met, she met my family, and naturally, we fell in love with her, and instantly she belonged with us, and we belonged to her. It's as if she was the piece of the puzzle that made our family tree whole. And although that piece of the puzzle is missing now, Sarah will forever have a place in our family and in our hearts. My dear sister, we miss you, and we love you so very much.
For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Stacy. I'm Sarah's sister. And I just want to say that was absolutely beautiful what Marina said. And I couldn't be more happy that she was taken into another family. It's so loving. I just blanketed with so much love. I can say that every single person that I've met from my brother-in-law's side of the family has been immediate family from the moment that we've met them. The warmth has just come through, and I also am not someone that has prepared speech because frankly, there isn't enough time for me to talk about my sister. So I couldn't determine what story I was going to tell or how I was going to tell it. And I thought, the best thing for me to do was just to speak from my heart, because that's the kind of person I am anyways. And it may not be perfect, but for me, it's what it is. And it's about what I want to say about my sister. Sarah and I were pretty much bonded at the hip from the time she came into this world. And we grew up in a very old school family where everybody was that time, blue collar, middle class, everybody worked. And me being the eldest child, I was responsible for the other children. So I took care of my sister. I took care of this one over here, Chino, our cousin, and our other cousin, Mark. We would run around, and the elders would go to work or something, or they'd have to go run to the grocery store, and they'd say, Stacy, you have to watch the kids and watch Sarah and make sure she's okay. And that turned into them wanting to go with me everywhere I went. And I was not allowed when we were younger to go anywhere without taking them, even when they were home. And we lived in Millbrae in this house. We had this park, and I wanted to be cool, and I had a couple of friends, and I would try to tell our grandmother, because our parents worked, all of our parents worked, and I'd say, I'm going to go with my friend, Margie, to the park, and we're going to go hang out at the park. And our grandmother, our Filipino grandmother, she'd say, you have to take your sister. And I don't want to take my sister. And she goes, you have to take Chino and Mark and Sarah. And I'm like, I don't want to take them. Nobody's bringing their friends. And she's like, okay, well, then you can go. So what did I do? I took these guys, and Mark and Chino would go and entertain themselves, the two boys. They'd go run around and do what boys do. And Sarah, she would be on my coattails. And we had 5 years apart. And I'd have some of my friends be like, oh my God, why do you always have to bring your sister? How come she always has to come? And, Sarah was there, and we had 5 years apart, and we were young, and I didn't get it. I was like annoyed and irritated. And then at the same time, she would come home and say, something like, I'm upset. And I'd say, why? And she'd say, this boy was picking on me. And I'd be like, do you want me to hurt him? Because I can. She'd say, no, Auntie, please don't. It's going to make it worse. That was her whole thing. There were several occasions, though. I never actually hurt somebody, but I did make some threats. Over the years, through high school, she had some nastiness, but at any rate, that's how our relationship was. I took care of her. It ended up becoming something else. It became me just loving her so much that I guarded her and I protected her. And, she came home 2 times. That was one of 2 times. So, 2 of several times, because she traveled and she went to college and she lived in Madrid, and she'd come home and she'd be like, oh, I think I'm going to come home. Not sure what I'm going to do. And Lou would be like, you just live with us. And she'd say, well, I don't have anything. And he'd say, just bring me a 12-pack on Friday and we're good. And she'd say, okay, score, you got it. And she lived with us a few different times, and we were just one big happy family. And my sister never, I think the funny thing about Sarah is that everybody says, oh, she's so sweet. She's so sweet. And she is 1000% all of that. but she is also fierce in her beliefs. And if she is not going to do something, she's not one of those people that's going to say, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. What she'll say is, oh, gosh, that's so nice. Thank you. I just love that so much. Thank you. You know what? You should keep that. Or she'd say, oh God, yeah, you're right. Maybe that's something we should do. But I think I want to pray about it. Can I just pray about it? And it's like, how do you tell someone, no, you can't pray about it. I know you're completely avoiding me and you don't want to do it. But that was her way of not doing it because she just didn't have that in her. She didn't want to be confrontational in a way that she looked at that as, well, that's not right. There's other ways to do it. We can have other ways to do things pleasantly. And the thoughtfulness around that was that she really, really believed in the whole idea that there is harmony in a way without having anger or any kind of conflict or anything like that. There is ways of discussing things and working things out. You could work everything out through that. And I will tell you that this person who I absolutely adore, who I protected, who I would do anything for. I mean, it was crazy. I went to school at Mercy High School on 19th Avenue, for those of you from San Francisco. And I went to school at Mercy High School, and this is the 80s, okay? So my hair was really big, and I spent a lot of time on my hair in the morning. The Wet n Wild hairspray was like the freezer hairspray that you'd use when you wanted the big hair. And we lived in the Sunset where there was all this fog. And my mom says, well, Sarah's going to St. Cecilia, so you got to get on the 28 19th Avenue, and then you got to get off. And then you got to walk her up 2 blocks and then get back on the bus and go to school because our mom at the time was working a couple of jobs. And so I'm like, being not me giving no 2 craps about the fact that she's working 2 jobs. I'm just like, why do I have to do that? Why do I have to get off the bus and walk to her? She's just like, well, because you got to take her to school because I'm leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning for work. And I would get off of this bus and I would walk her up 2 blocks and my hair would be completely flat by the time I got back to 19th Avenue because of the fog. and I would tell her, my hair's flat, Sarah, look at what happened. Not complaining to her, but like looking to her for support, even though she's 5 years younger. She'd go, oh, Auntie, you look like a princess. You look so pretty. Don't worry. She's just this little girl. And she even had that in her then, and she became this person as an adult that was so open and so accepting and so loving and took her time with everybody she met. And I know for those of you here that are not new to that are not our immediate family and made friends with her through the years, you probably know that when you met her and she met you, she had a big smile on her face and she looked right into your eyes and she held your hand and she goes, oh my God, I am so nice to meet you. Where are you from? Where do you live? And she wanted to know all about you. And she made you feel like you were the only person in the room when she was talking to you, because that's the kind of attention she gave. She was not, and she had a softness about her. And she became this person that I admire. And I don't like past tense. I'm not ready for that. So I admire. And when she was in the hospital, and I want people to know that even though the cancer is a disease, it's cruel. It's cruel to families. It's cruel to the people that experience it. But she embraced the whole thing, as horrible as it was. She embraced it. She thanked every single nurse. She thanked every single doctor. She thanked them so much that they would say, Sarah, please stop thanking me. They would come in and say, Sarah, please stop thanking me. You thanked me. You thanked me. She'd offer to buy dinner for everyone, and she would. And Edwin, she'd say, oh, Teddy. That's what she calls Edwin. And he'd say, yes, baby. And she'd say, Edwin, I want to get Thai food for the nurses. And then he'd go, of course, baby, we can get Thai food for the nurses. And he would go do it. And she would just she would just think of everyone, and she wasn't thinking of herself during that time. She instead was thinking of everyone. She would apologize to me profusely. She would apologize to my mom. I'm so sorry. You guys are coming here. It's so sad here. You don't have to be here. Thank us endlessly. And also say, you know what? I'm sorry that I'm having to go through this and you guys are having to witness it. And I asked her, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about what's happening? And she said to me one of several times, but it was the first time, she told me, I think this is just something I'm going to have to accept. I think every aspect of it, as bad as it is, I'm just going to have to accept it. And she said, and I just want God to help me through it. And my mom touched on that today at the service. And a lot of people would have been really angry, and they would have had, you know, all of the whys and had a lot of different feelings about it, but she didn't. She didn't. She may have had some of it, but that's not what was illuminating from her. What she was experiencing was, this is my relationship with my God. This is what I'm experiencing, and I accept it, and I love my family, and I want you guys all to know that I love you every time you're here, by thanking you and telling you how amazing you are for everything that you're doing, and thanking all the nurses. So I don't want anyone here to think that, you know, Sarah was kind of, you know, helpless at the end. That's not who she was. She was never that person. Even though she was weak and she lost weight, she was never that person. Her brain was strong and her spirit was strong. And the only part of her that was not was her body. And for that, I am so amazed by her, because I don't know a lot of people, and I'm talking about myself. I don't know that I could have gone through that and had the attitude she did and the gratitude that she did through the whole thing. And I needed to say this because I want everyone to know that that's how amazing she is. I don't want anyone feeling sorry for her or anything. She did not feel sorry for herself. She was a rock for us during that, telling us to not worry. And she, like I said, became somebody that I looked at and thought, wow, how can I be like you? You know, my mom always says it, Cadillac problem, right? And it made me think, like, wow, all the stuff that I'm worried about, really, is this a really Cadillac problem that I'm worried about? But she is absolutely healthy now, and she's not like she was. And I am so sad because I miss her horribly, 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 every time, multiple times a day. And that's going to take time, but I know I'm going to see her again, and I'm so grateful for the time we had. And I know I'm rambling at this point, but I just love her so much, and I just wanted everyone to know how amazing she is. She really is truly amazing, and she's someone to admire. And I know she's here, and I can feel her in my spirit, and I think about her all the time. And I know that we're all going to get through this. I know it's going to be okay, Mom. It is. Okay. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for being here and supporting her and loving her. And, you know, a lot of people, they took their time out of their day to come and see her and be with her today and her family. And I just want to thank you for all of that. And as my mom said at the chapel, because you are here, you are part of this family. You know, you are part of this family. We're all Sarah's family and friends. And I just want to thank you all for that. And I'm so happy I got to meet so many of you. And if I haven't had a chance to meet you and you want to come up and say hi, please do, because I would love to meet you. Thank you.
Just to elaborate further on how for her everything was about relationship. for her, nobody was just a passing person. Um, you know, for example, she's so well loved at our pet doctor, but because every time she would visit, she would bring donuts. Every visit, you mean every visit you're gonna bring a gift? Yeah, that's the way she was. That's the way she was. And, we try to splurge now and then with a house cleaner. And every time the house cleaner comes, she asks me to prepare a spread, coffee, things to eat, and everything. Everybody, um, everybody was a person to her, without fail. That's who she was. And she's quite unique, something I've never seen. The other thing I'm wondering about is how she ever went from me. Because the song that comes to my mind right now is I Love You Just the Way You Are. And this is in keeping with the fact that Sarah was all about relationship. So it's not insignificant that we were friends for 20 years and only partners for 12 years. That 20 years included 8 years of just getting to know each other. And underneath all of my roughness, all of my imperfections, she, I guess, saw something that was worthwhile. And I think all of us, no matter how low we might be feeling about ourselves, we had that, each one of us. Each one of us has that beautiful thing inside of us. Let's get in touch with it. Because Sarah got in touch with me. I'm so much better person for it. I'm so lucky. So I just want to also just end by saying what Sarah loved. Sarah loved animals, cats. She got excited so much. She got excited by the goats. She made me stop, take pictures. She gets excited with flowers. Oh my God, we're walking. Oh my God, look at the flowers. Oh my God, look at it, look. She loved music. She loved to dance. She would pull me in the dance. She loved Native American history here in this land. She would collect pictures and she would marvel at them. She loved crystals and stones, something that the engineer in me couldn't understand. There was something, there was something about the stones that gave an effervescence. So I learned to love that. She would pull me in for, the star readings and stuff. Evan, do you want a reading? And she would interpret, what do you think? What do you think of this picture here? She was like that. She was intuitive. She was sensing stuff in this world, in this universe, that my scientific bent wasn't sensing. And I'm so much the better person for it. So she loved coffee. She's one of the best coffee that money could buy in Ritual. Anyway, I could say a whole lot of things about her, but I'll leave it to other people also.
Always probably. So Sarah loved, well, I struggle with the verbs, but try not to use past tense. Well, Sarah loved, Sarah struggled, and she persevered. And so one of the things she loved was her mother. And when Linda introduced me to Sarah, I didn't get accepted immediately. Sarah took me to lunch to check me out. Versus dating my mom, right? And, I guess I passed the test, but, you know, Sarah Love. And I think over time, I gained her love. She loved her family. Excuse me, when Sarah was with her family, the love of the room was just amazing. The joy, the happiness. I wasn't expecting this. So, she was intuitive, as Edward said, and she could sense things about people, and it helped her as a teacher and as a therapist as well. And so as time passed, she moved to Oakland. She loved Oakland. Another thing she loved, the diversity of the people. And one of the things she struggled with was money. And we got this old Volvo, and so she was living on 40th Street in Oakland, and she couldn't find parking spaces close enough home to the apartment at night that were legal. So she started parking illegal. Because the city sends you tickets for that. I mean, the city doesn't like it when you ignore them. And so I went down with Sarah and paid off all these parking tickets. And the struggle with money took her to another community where she actually persevered and learned how to manage her money. Although I tried to control it, I wasn't. And I remember one time we were going shopping. I was going shopping with the groceries, and the idea was, you want to buy the essentials. No frills, no styles, just get the essentials. She would money here, manage it. That's the engineer side of it. And so we were almost done shopping, and then Sarah starts putting flowers in shopping cart. What are you doing putting flowers in your shopping cart? But one of the things Sarah loved was beauty, So we got some flowers. And, another thing she struggled with was relationship. And that took her to a different community. She really, they struggle. Relationship is more about being able to work through things than it is about the absence of problems. And they work through things to form the really strong bond. And I'm happy to see that. And maybe 2 weeks before she passed, Sarah was up and around. She was in a grocery store again. And I would like to believe she bought some flowers. That's it. Right. So today she walks with God, brother Genetic. And she has our love that we have her. Thank you.
I thought, well, first of all, I already said thank you. I appreciate everything. And I want to thank you, Julia, for that amazing work that you did, showing all the memories of Sarah. Thank you so much. I have they're not great grandkids, they're grandkids. That's right, but they're great. God, I am. But what I said was the only reason. He said, well, Mom, do you want to say anything? Why Sarah? But I thought it's about story. I want to tell a story that is very significant, that will say a lot about Sarah and my relationship and her successes all in one. And there's some,
Sarah went to St. Ignatius in San Francisco, college prep. And it came time, because it's college, I mean, most of the kids that go to college. And I was working 2 jobs, single parent, and that's fine. That's fine. But she was smart, and I wanted her to be able to experience what other kids. And so we talked about it, and I said, we started looking for East Coast colleges. My dad thought I had lost my mind, and he said, wait, she's going to go back east. What about San Francisco State or something? And I said, Dad, let me just do this. And so I was a meter maid back then. Incidentally, you saw them in the Cushman. That's a sidebar. I used to take her over to St. Cecilia's in the buggy. And one day, I got back to work, and this officer said, Linda, I saw 2 of you in that buggy there. And I said, oh, well, anyway, he was joking around. He knew it was Sarah. So I'm over at my favorite coffee shop in North Beach. I'm sorry, I'm shaking on surface. And I've got all these college brochures out, Usually you go to college night at USF in your junior year. But because I was doing all this research, I said, Sarah, we got to go. It was her sophomore year. And she said, Mom, I don't want to go. Nobody goes till their junior year. I said, we're different. So we went, and I saw all these East Coast schools and everything. So I took them, and I'm in the coffee shop, and I got them all laid out. And I'm looking at them on my break. This woman came up to me. And she's going like this. I looked at her and she said, Mom, do you mind me asking? I recognize a lot of that. The child is getting ready to go to school. I said, yeah. And she said, those are good schools. And I said, yeah, we're just kind of hoping. Well, fast forward. We start having a conversation. And she's asking me more questions. And finally, I said, she goes, well, how are you going to get, what are you doing once you get back there? Where are you staying? I thought, why is she asking me that? And I said, well, I don't know, we'll find a bunch of Motel 6s, whatever. And she said, I'm from Washington, D.C. I want to help you. And I went, I've never met this woman. I said, you don't have to. No worries. No. You don't have to. She said, I want to. And she said, I can't talk much longer, but I want to give you my name and I'd like your number. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, what's your name? And she said, Phyllis Thoreau. And I said, you're visiting here in San Francisco. She said, well, I'm on business. I said, oh, what are you doing? She said, I'm interviewing the Pope. The Pope was here. Remember when he went across the Golden Gate Bridge? I said, you're interviewing the Pope? She was with the Larry McNeil Hour, PBS, that was on every Sunday night. And said, I watched that. I said, you're an essayist for the Larry McNeil? You know what I mean. And I go, my God. She goes, now listen, I can't spend much more time, but I'm going to tell you something, Linda. This is amazing, this project, and I would love to help you. Please let me do this. And I'll tell you right now, if you don't call me, I'm calling you. I said, okay, fast forward. Sarah and I get on a plane. We go back to Washington, D.C. We stay with her. She has arranged 3 other families as we're going up the East Coast, a family in, she interviewed at Smith and Mount Holyoke, and whatever I can't remember where it is, but Phyllis had to stay with writers. Her pen name, all I remember was Maggie Strong. We stayed with her and her husband. Then we got to stay at Harvard. I almost got my car towed. I was parked in Boston. They yelled, "You better get down here, they're towing your car." So Sarah never applied to Harvard. Phyllis, by the way, took us into the Georgetown dining room. She knew all the Jesuits, and we're having lunch there. It was amazing. And here's a cute story. Anyway, point being, we're interviewing, and the one school that we couldn't go all the way to Vermont, she got into was she went to Middlebury. And that picture you saw with her hat on, she was graduated from Middlebury. And, you know, Middlebury gave her a scholarship of about 80%. And we had gotten back in, it was parents' weekend, and I thought, I can't fly back there again. I just spent. So I told them, you know what they did? They sent us 2 round-trip tickets on US Air and put us up at a B&B. And Sarah, my dad couldn't believe when I told them she got in. He came up to the house. We were living over on the marina. And he came in the kitchen and I said, "Dad, I got some news for you." And I put the acceptance letter on the front desk, on the kitchen table. He was blown away. My dad was so close to Sarah and Stacy. And he was so proud of her. And I want to tell you, when she left, he gave her a little briefcase for her books. She's got that. Edwin, that's one thing I'm claiming. I'm claiming that. And would you believe Sarah told me this? Dad would go to the UPS store. My dad was old-fashioned, old railroad guy, you know, and he would send her number 2 pencils and binding paper. God bless Dad. The last piece is, it's a little humor, but Sarah and I, we had a blast doing that trip. And I got to go to Madrid with her, and visit her over there when she was doing her abroad program. So we're in Washington, D.C. Phyllis was she was at work. We, you know, never saw the White House or anything. So we're walking down Pennsylvania Avenue. Or find the White House. It was like, oh my God. And all of a sudden, all these limousines start coming out on the side. And I thought, and they weren't, there were officers, but they weren't dressed in uniforms. They had trench coats on. That's CIA. You know, of course, most guys in the East Coast, I got that impression. They were trench coats. Anyway, Sarah used to say to me, "You like those trench coats, don't you?" Anyway, so we're walking along and cars, the limousines are coming out. And so the cops are directing people across the street. You know, come on, well, flag's green. And so we start walking across. And I walked up to the officer and I said, Officer, is that the president? Is that the president? And he's like, "Ma'am, you need to keep going." And I said, no. You see, we've never been here before. I started explaining. He's looking at me. I said, "We've never been here before. I just want to know, is that the president? Please." And he looks at me and he goes, "Can you wait a minute?" And he said, "It's not the president." I said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's a special detail." I said, "Oh." I said, they just dug up Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa? Sarah's going, Mom, who's Jimmy Hoffa? I went, he's the head mob guy. She goes, oh my God, oh my God. So he looks at me and he says, yeah, would you keep going? I said, okay. I'm walking across the rest of the street. And I'm walking, and all of a sudden, it hit me. I said, Woody. And I turned around, and he's laughing. And he goes, have a great day. I said, you. And they were sort of, those, I thought about, I'd love to tell that story because those were the kind of trips we made. Those were it. And I miss so much. I know in my head, she's not suffering. I was telling somebody, I love you guys. Even though all the people that have come up to me, and all I'm hearing is how much you love Sarah. That's all I mean. And it's true. It's true. Edwin's right. Ordering food for the nurses. They love her. I didn't know you could do DoorDash to a hospital. Like, dang. Anyway, Chef said it to me. Sweetie, it can be, he gets it. He said it can leave it home. Thank God I've got family. And thank God I've got family. And I, everybody here, the niece, grandparents, a wonderful, wonderful father, Ben, and it was great. So thank you. I just wanted to tell that story.
Hello, everyone. And thank you for allowing us this moment to participate in this celebration of life for someone who was very dear, obviously a father. And unless I actually have met Sarah in person, it's difficult to say or experience this energy and charisma that she brought with her day in, day out. It was amazing. And at times it seemed inconceivable. And at times it seemed inconceivable to me. But I am kind of like through all the stories this morning and at the chapel, I am starting to connect some dots. Which explains some of her behavior, by the way. Thank you to the family for the invitation to extend to the community that she so much embraced and loved. Our respects, condolences. There is a sense of sadness. I don't want to minimize it. My first thought was, why a team captain? There's so many of us, not to be selfish, not to point fingers, but this higher wisdom that has a plan that I may not understand or accept. I do question why the team captain, a team captain. When I came in here, the celebration hall, it Sarah and Edward were arriving, they'd just be arriving here now. Sorry, I want to. And you would know she was there because we she probably would have liked more colors and collages and decorations and some music. Probably, I don't know, Blow the Whistle by Too Short or, because that's just who she was to me, to us. And I know that a lot of you would love an opportunity to share your experience that you had with her, what your relationship was like with her. And I hold that dear to my heart. And otherwise, we would be here to all hours of the morning, and Sarah and Edwin would have to go out for pastries and come back. But a celebration of life. She was the star in her own movie, and she blessed us all in allowing to participate in it. And she allowed us to be our own size, our own color, our own understanding, and our true selves. And that's the greatest gift anyone can ever offer. Okay, well, my wife doesn't want to say anything, but if she could, I'm sure she could tell some stories about Sarah that I couldn't, but so in closing, I feel like there was a lot to take in today, and I just want to say that her true essence was love. That love is the solution to everything. Thank you.
My story's going to be short. I believe in crossing the street instead of going around and around and around blocks like that. I've known these girls since birth. I've known her mother even longer than that. And they're very near and dear to my heart. But I was telling Linda today, one of the stories, I mean, we have many about Sarah, but the one that stands out in my mind more than anything is Linda and I were going to go pick her up. She was flying in from college. And we were going to go to a party. We were going somewhere and we had to be there in a certain amount of time. And of course, the plane was late or Linda was late or whatever, but we get Sarah and she's, like her mother, and says, we have to stop. We said, no, we don't have time to stop. She goes, no, we have to stop. And everybody's going, where are we going to stop? She goes, can you stop at the Emporium? And we go, no. And she goes, okay, then how about this store? No. So she goes, okay, can we go to Walgreens? And I said, Walgreens? She goes, I have no chonies on. And we went, what? And she said, I have no chonies on. And I went, ew, what do you mean? And she goes, I'm a college student. And I go, what's that mean? And she said, you wear your underwear, and you take it off, and you turn it inside out. And then when those are dirty, you go to the next pair. And when you run out of those, you just don't wear any because you're too busy doing laundry. And me and Linda go, ew, okay. But we did stop at Walgreens. And we got her some chonies and then we went on to our party. So, Sarah, flag of the angel, baby girl. We love you. Love you guys.
Thanks. For obituary. And that's the whole personality of Sarah. Even at the last day, she would write her own obituary, and it's so beautifully written. That's her own personality. As Ina said before, I'm not worried about my own mother when it comes to having new friends. It's my aunts that the friends will pass their judgments. And truly enough, when I looked at Sarah the first time, she was staring at me. What is going on? So she said, oh, I'm 26 years old. Oh my God, that's right. I said, how could this beautiful girl get connected with my nephew who is so in a way narcissistic? Because, no, because my father, he was the first grandson. Yeah. So he got away with murder for my father. Anyway, so I said, what the hell, more power to you. I said to myself, and I didn't know it. I just said, more power to you, sweetie. So, and so I said, I'm 26 years old. Oh my God, that figure. I have a sister who was a second grade teacher, and she would say, you smile, and this boy will smile back at you. And she's always carrying a smile. She was. And so when I had my questioning look, well, she said, I am 26 years old. The next question, where did you meet? You know, like at the visiting one by the new positive new member of the family. So where did you meet? Oh, we work together. Oh, you're doing the same outreach as I do, because I used to work for Hayward Unified School District Special Ed. So we do our same outreach program. And she said, yeah, I'm a social worker. Oh, thanks to God. And so that's how we started. She was always smiling. A smiling girl, happy, happy. And this is the whole of his own personality. Really diligent thing. That's all. She even wrote up an obituary. So how she after the while. I said, oh, I love this. I think I'll put it on my car. You know. And then I said, who will get this picture? Come later on. I said, I don't know, Mom, just leave it there. And so, okay. I said, okay. So this is her. This, this is her whole personality, and I don't have to tell you more about her. Okay. That's how we met. So she passed my critics, my judgment, and that's why Ina says, I don't worry about my own mother, worry about my aunts. Ina, is that what you said? And so that's it. She passed my judgment. But I said, more power to you, more power to you. Okay. Sorry. And then for you being a little bit narcissistic because who pampered you? The first grandson. Okay, 11 out of 11 children. 11 children. He was the first grandson. Just imagine. You will just look at my father and his heart will melt. I tell you. Okay, that's all about it. Like, that's about it.
So my aunt just called me narcissistic. The first boy, the first grandson. So that tells you really Sarah's capacity
Yeah.
to love you just the way you are.
Everyone, my name's Leanna. I am the mother of Lydia. I mean, sorry, she is my mother. I didn't want to introduce her that way, but yes, she's my mother. My name's Leanna.
Your first cousin.
And of course, Kuyana is my first cousin. So, so we actually had the chance to meet with Sarah in Oakland when she was, August timeframe. And I hadn't seen her for a very long time. And so I was really happy that we were able to see her. And thank you, Lorena, for asking if we were available. So we were sitting in the living room and having dinner and, just talking. We brought some Filipino food and we were just chatting away. And Sarah wasn't with us yet. She was resting in her room. So I was like, okay. And then Edwin said, I don't think she's feeling well, but, she's just happy that you're here. And I said, okay, that's okay. That's okay. We can come back another time. But then all of a sudden she comes out and I'm like, oh my gosh, So good to see you, Sarah. Because I think she's had headaches and she wasn't able to come to a lot of our family parties, and we have a lot of family parties. So we were missing her, and she was just so lively, and she told us stories. I just was just amazed at how she's just a great storyteller. How vivid, and it's like you're in the moment with her and she's explaining it, and I'm like, oh my god, I can see myself in the trip to Mexico, in this, all those events that you had as the Batambaco family, and then so we end up leaving, and then I'm like telling Lorena and Venus, I'm like, wow, the word choices she uses, I know those definitions, but I don't have those words that she uses in her stories. And she is just, I came out of there like, oh my gosh, the moment that I was with her, it was like, I learned so much. And how she is just so patient. And also, I mean, I was like observing how she was just treating my cousin. And like, she was like, like Teddy, and Edwin would say, babe, babe. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you have so much love, so much love. And I wish I wish I had more time, but I was just happy that I will cherish that time with her. Um, and we were there, I don't know, I think till 9 o'clock at night, and we got there about 5. So I'm like, oh my God, I think we're overstaying our time a little bit. We should be going now. And my cheeks, because we were there, telling stories, my cheeks were hurting so much because we were just laughing and laughing. And I really, and then she's asking about my boys. And so Stacy, when you said, you're like the only person in the room, I'm like, I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about. She's asking, how are your boys? And I'm like, you haven't seen my boys since they're like 2 or 3. And I'm like, oh my God, you remember. And she just has a really good memory. She's just so smart. She is so smart. Um, so just a very, very, very good spirit, and so funny. She is just so funny. Um, and again, so I will cherish that time with her. And again, that time was just so precious. And I'm so happy that we were able to spend that time with her too. Yeah. Thank you.
Very brief, really wonderful. My name is James. I'm a friend of hers since 2008. And I just want to say I'm a little disappointed to see all these people because I thought I was the only one to care about. That's what she gave you when you met with her. She was with you. And I just also want to say that, she's an angel, and there was always a part of her that was not really part of this plane. She always brought in another plane when she was present with you. So I think she's still at that plane, and we are still able to be there with her. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Diana, and I've known Edwin and Sarah since 2007. And I can't really say a lot that hasn't already been said. I agree. Sarah, honestly, was one of the most brilliant women that I've ever known. She synthesized so many different things when she was talking to you. She'd pull in some book that she had read, and I don't know, it's hard to encapsulate the brilliance that is Sarah. And I really do believe that she's still with us. I believe that we can call on her and she'll be in our hearts forever. And I just want to say that some of my stories, particularly her sense of humor, is really what I remember about Sarah. One of my stories involves some cat poo. And me running in, because I lived down the block from Sarah. So I ran into her while I was walking through the neighborhood, and she had one of her cats in a carrier on the back of her bike, and she was trying to get the cat to the vet because the cat had made a mess on itself and she couldn't get the cat, she couldn't clean it. And I'm sorry for eating, but maybe hold on. So I was like, oh no, you don't want to. She was really broke at the time. We were all broke. You know, this was like 15 years ago. So I was like, here, let's go back to your apartment and I will hold the cat while you clean the cat. And so that's actually what we did. So I saved her a vet bill. But I do remember cleaning off the cat and bonding with Sarah around cats and running into her on the street. And Sarah's brilliant sense of humor, her ability to improvise. I always thought she should do improv, but she didn't really need to do improv because she was improv. She just was a constantly improving. Yeah, I will hold Sarah in my heart forever. And I'm loving seeing all the people here, and I'm sad about why we're here, but it's so beautiful to see all the people whose life that she touched. And yeah, thanks.
Hi, my name's Mary Ellen, and I know Sarah from a weekly gathering I used to attend in person before COVID. And then when COVID happened, the weekly gathering went on a conference call. And I live in the same neighborhood that Sarah used to live in very recently. So I thought maybe that was it, but the conference call calls into some number who knows where. But you know, you're struggling to hear some people on the call, some people are muffled, some people are in their car. And then because Sarah has so much light and she's so huge and statuesque in her joy and her light, but she also had a very good cell phone connection. Much better than anyone on the call. So you'd have everything all turned up. And then Sarah would introduce herself or say hello, and she'd go, "Hi." But it was very, very, very much louder than everyone else, but then she had her enthusiasm. So to me, since I hadn't seen her for a while in person, but luckily I have seen her in person walking around the neighborhood since then. For me, it was like that smile was coming right through the phone. Thanks.
I have family and friends of the amazing Sarah, the magical Sarah, the light on the top of the Christmas tree, Sarah. I've known Sarah for about 20 years, and I've known for about the same time. And I just wanted to share a tiny little snippet of a story. Once we were at a Halloween party, and I can't remember exactly what she was. She was either a bumblebee, a butterfly, or a fairy, but I know she had wings because they were so Sarah. She had glittery wings, and I hadn't seen her in a while, like a month. And she was at one end of the garage, and I was at the other end, and we locked eyes, and we saw each other. I'm like, the way that like Sarah always is so like exuberant and excited to see you. And we ran towards each other, and we were just looking at each other, and then in the middle of the party, we just sat down on the ground. We just went like, oh my God, how are you? What are you doing right now? Oh my God, I can't believe I've seen you here. It's been too long. And there was like a pink bubble all around us that I could feel. And there were people walking by and through and everywhere and talking and drinking and having a party. And Sarah and I are like locked in. Mama, what's going on? And we sat there for so long. We probably sat there talking and laughing our heads off for 40 minutes, 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, there's people. There's a whole meeting going on around us. And that's how it was. I've heard other people describe basically the same thing that I just described in different ways. But that's how it always was. If you saw her yesterday, it would still be, oh my God. It's just so much love all the time. So much love. Thank you so much.
Hi, everybody. I really am grateful for this opportunity to
share from my heart about Sarah, and I brought a visual. This is Gonzo, and part of what Sarah and I've known Sarah since for about 15 years. And part of what we bonded over was we both discovered that we both love the Muppets. Like, we really, really love the Muppets, like obsessive with the Muppets and Sesame Street. So we would just talk all about Muppets. And two aspects of that were that we discovered that Gonzo was both of our favorite Muppets. And a big part of why is that Gonzo was different. Gonzo was looking for his tribe, his people, and a sense of belonging. And Gonzo, at the end of a movie called Muppets from Space, finds his like-minded Muppets. And that's what we did with our group, our spiritual group, is we found our like-minded Muppets. And one of the things that Sarah was really amazing at was, someone said this earlier, giving you full permission to be full, wacky, wild self. Oh, it's loud. So, okay, I'm real quick and say, everybody's walking around trying to be normal, sorry. And Sarah gave us permission to be your wacky, wild, colorful, creative self. And I was so grateful for that. And then real quick, the other thing we would bond about was Kermit the Frog and was Piggy's relationship and how dysfunctional it was and how they needed therapy. And we would talk all about what is going on there with our relationship. So I love you, Sarah. I love Sarah's family and friends, and we are so grateful for the time we are.
That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elaine, and I've known Sarah for a couple of decades, I guess. And I met her through recovery work, and I was her, what we say in program is her sponsor for a time. I don't even remember how long, but one of the most endearing things to me about her was when she would call me and want to get together, she would always say, "No pressure, Elaine, no pressure." And it just made me feel very relaxed. She was just, my point is that she was very considerate. Another good story. One of my favorite memories of Sarah is a bunch of us were at a restaurant, and she and Winthrop, those of you who know Winthrop, started doing improv, and they pretended they were a married couple having an argument, and they just started tearing into each other verbally and yelling at each other. And it was actually so hilarious. And that's one of my favorite memories. Another favorite memory is at the retreat center in Santa Cruz. We were all like maybe 50 of us in the dining room after dinner. And I remember her getting up on a chair after dinner and just started kind of gathering us all together and telling us what to do, sort of like a school teacher. And she was at the whiteboard organizing us for some game or something. It was just her energy and her leadership and her love of people that was just so, I wanted to follow her. I wanted to do what she asked us to do. It's just fun. Thank you.
I want to say that one time I was at the Kaiser building, the old Kaiser building, and I was going up the elevator, and the elevator door opens about halfway up to the 12th floor, and Sarah's there. She's coming down. She's going down the elevator, but she goes, "Dennis!" with the biggest smile. And that was just, it made my day. That's it. Thank you very much. I love Sarah.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, my name's James. I'm a friend of Sarah's. I love Sarah very much. And I want to tell a story about 2011. Her and I went out to dinner and we were on College Street. And after dinner, we decided to go get some ice cream cones and walk down the street. And she said, I want to show you something. I want to show you something. And so we walked past this store called Sweet Dreams, which is a toy store. And as we got to the window, she said, I'm so excited to show you this store, this window. And I said, oh, really? Because I've been by this store 100 times. And in a toy store, you look in the windows and there's toys and there's Legos and there's some dolls. And it's like, it's a toy store. And she said, no, 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 no. And we got to the window and she leaned over and she said, look at what's going on in here. There's a story. And for every little corner of the window, there was a full city and a story that the owner had put together. There was people in love, having a love affair on a date in the park. There was a whole family of unicorns that was birthing and living and having a unicorn family. And there was a whole city of people that she recognized immediately, the level of detail that she loved, and it was childlike. And it was opened my eye up to a whole new world of perception that only Sarah could see, about how there was a whole place, a whole level of joy and childhood in this window that was intentional. And I really love that about Sarah. And I went by there last summer because I wanted to take a picture of the window last summer to show it to my friends. And the window was empty. And so, you know, they had moved on, and you know, that's a poignant end to that story, that symbolism of Sarah. But you know, the good news is that they had moved down the street to a bigger, better store, and that's where Sarah is too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Mark, and I've known Sarah for many, many years now, actually. It surprises me how long I've known her. First of all, I want to thank both families, and I'm one year old prior, so if I break down, it's so big. I want to thank both families for sharing as they did. It was great to hear where she comes from and why she comes from, and then to see the evolution of her from her family to Melody with Edwin's family is really nice. It was really nice to see. Sarah, for me, kind of represented everything that everyone said about her. Brightest person in the room, always. Never an unkind thing to say anything to anybody. And I've known a lot of people, myself included, and there's always something about them, you know, that's kind of like, oh, talk too long, or I'm ready to go now. With Sarah, I was thinking back, and there is not a single thing about her that was ever annoying, or, I mean, she just was such a delightful person. We used to talk. We'd go off at parties and talk one-on-one for a while, and I have crazy ideas and crazy philosophies. Just sit there and listen to them and intently absorb it, and we'd share different ideas about me. But I guess the last thing I want to say is, first of all, I love her so much. And I'm really grateful to her for how much of a better person that she has made me by being in my life. I would not be surprised if she has made everyone around her at least a little bit better than they were before they met her.
So the biggest things that I remember about Sarah, the biggest thing is her sense of humor. And I remember standing outside of Fabiola building one time after a meeting, and Sarah and I were both like avid bike riders, and we had both ridden our bikes there, and we were unlocking our bikes, and we somehow got in this conversation about how we were going to start this company about a bike seat company, and the name of the company was going to be Big Enough for Yo Ass. So, and Sarah ripped on this for, I don't know, 20 minutes, and we just laughed the whole time. And how big was the seat going to be? It was going to be like this big, and it's big enough for your ass. So that is one of my fondest memories of Sarah, is just spending that much time improvisationally laughing and creating a scenario together about this imaginary company, which we fortunately, it's on me now to have to build this company. And the other thing that I remember about Sarah, standing on Piedmont Avenue after and I don't remember who else was there, but it was definitely me and Sarah, and we were standing at the corner of 41st and Piedmont, waiting for the light to turn for us to walk across the street of 41st. And this van like roars up to the stoplight, and it's loud. It's like, it's got like extra turbo mufflers or something. We both look at it, and the guy in the van was like he looked crazed. Holding on to it, he looks over at us, and Sarah goes, "You will know my name." Like, she so perfectly summed up this man. And so even today, when someone is moving like that, when they are talking, you know, with like flames coming out of their tailpipe or their ears or whatever, I think of that moment I was there. You will know my name. And Sarah's humor, as we all know, was totally unique and wacky and so appropriate to the moment, and fabulous. Fabulous. And the one other story I have to tell, which I already told up at the front, was this time when I was walking home from somewhere, and I was walking down Telegraph Avenue, and I see Sarah coming along, pushing her bicycle with a cat carrier strapped to the back rack. And in the cat carrier is one of her cats, like Stripey maybe, or Mama. And I'm like, where are you going? And she said, well, I have to go to the vet because Stripey, let's just say it was Stripey. Stripey has had diarrhea. And I know it's the fluffy cat. Stripey has had diarrhea, and Stripey will still for me to clean him. I haven't cleaned his butt, basically, is what she was saying. So I was like, oh my God. And she was really broke. And I was like, it's $60 to go to the vet. You're going to pay the vet $60 just to clean his butt? And I was like, no. We're going to go together back to your apartment. I will help you. So we went back with the cat to her apartment, which was only a block away, and brought the cat upstairs. And I think, held the cat in the bathtub. One of us held the cat, and the other one used water to wash his butt. And so, and I remember Sarah being so grateful for that. Every time she saw me, thank you so much for helping with the cat. There are many other stories of those, of course, but those are the three that I love. Right.
Thank you.
So hi, my name is Kathy, and I'm Sarah's cousin, and I grew up with her. So I knew her my whole life. And my favorite memory that I would love to talk about is she was about 10 years old, and I was just newly married, and my husband was a solicitor in San Francisco, and he was working nights. So I was going to go get the Christmas tree, and so we did a girls' sleepover. So I'm like 22 years old, my first apartment in San Francisco, and we went first to go to Walgreens just up the street on Chestnut Street. And we got a big old shopping cart and I just let her go crazy. There was no budget. She would just put any kind of Christmas decoration in that cart. And she's just grabbing things. She's grabbing tinsel. She's grabbing that furry tree that goes around the tree. Not things I would usually buy for a Christmas tree, but I let her just do what her little 10-year-old self wanted to do. So we filled that cart. We had Walgreens newspaper and we were clipping all the coupons and everything. And we were just giggling and laughing, having such a good time. And this lady, a row over, was so smitten by the sounds and everything of what we were doing. She was just listening to us from afar. And so she came around and said, I just to tell you guys, you're just so cute and you're having so much fun. And she goes, I was just following you the whole time because Sarah was having such a beautiful time. So we went and got a Christmas tree, we dragged it down the street, up the stairs, decorated it, and then we watched the movie It's a Wonderful Life. And I had never seen it before, and she had never seen it before. So it was just the two of us watching that Christmas movie in our PJs, and we both fell asleep before the end. But to this day, It's a Wonderful Life is my favorite Christmas movie, and I just always, when I see it, I always think of Sarah. And Sarah, it truly is a wonderful life. And it's so wonderful to have you in my life. So thank you.
I think if we're thinking about favorite memories with Sarah, it's so hard to pick just one, but the one that just instantly knee-jerk reaction comes to mind. I was in junior high and Sarah was truly a big kid at heart, right? And that was why so many people loved her. So from when I was 3 years old to junior high, high school, she could just connect with you at every age, every phase in your life. But I had my first big Halloween party, or I was trying to be anyway. And so I tried to invite my friends, do the whole thing, and Sarah knew I was nervous, and we invited her, and she showed up in her famous bumblebee outfit, and she just worked the room. Everyone wanted to know, can we be friends with her? And I just remember thinking it was so fun, just watching her in her little bumblebee costume, just made friends with everybody, and just as we all have talked about, really connect with people from any age. I just want to hear their story, and I don't know, it's just, it's a random memory, but for me, that's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Sarah. She truly is just this happy bumblebee buzzing around in people's lives, just bringing joy.
Too many favorite memories to describe. Sarah, just, the smile, the radiance, what hasn't been said before. Just how in tune you were, musically, a little bit. It didn't matter what the genre, you could still connect. Yeah, Dave Strokes. Princeton all. Yeah, absolutely. It wasn't just hip hop to be around, whatever it is. I do remember you shaking tail feather Flow Riders logo. Yes, exactly. I will say, I can't get enough of the times that I had in private conversations. Most of them been like, I just wish I could have talked to you and said more. As I'm sure most people are. I can still text her.
Sarah,
I have. I'm still going to text her. Right.
yeah.
I think the beauty that she saw in life was undeniable. I don't just mean the aesthetics or the cosmetic, but the internal. I think that's why she gave the best gifts. I mean, to everybody she ever came across. I'm really gonna miss sipping the coffee espresso. Probably the most. She was quite a connoisseur and it really was. Just loved a good cup of John. And, it's so sweet to see all these people that's from fire. Protect us going forward.
Thank you, Sarah. Just you forever.
Hi there, I'm Lark, and so grateful for Sarah bringing us together today. Sarah's very dear to me. I met her in 2005 during a really difficult time in my life, and she was so kind and she was so generous, and she connected me with wonderful people who helped guide me and helped give me teachings that helped me get my life back on track. And Sarah was there for me in so many ways. I had cats and they needed fostering, and so she fostered my cats while I was getting housing, and she had so much joy and life and heart and could have so much fun doing the simplest things, and really showed me a way towards a future where I could be more than I was. And I'm so grateful for her and her influence on my life.
Hi, so my name's Peter, and I've known Sarah probably 15 or 20 years. I'm 72, and for my 60th birthday, I had a party at Lake Temescal, and Sarah and Edmund came, and they brought me a gift, and I'm guessing it was Sarah's idea. They brought me a little glow-in-the-dark, wind-up, green plastic Tyrannosaurus Rex. And they also gave me a Beatles flip book. I don't know if any of you younger people know flip books, but you flip through them and the people in them move around. It's like a little motion picture. Anyhow, I've had that little wind-up, glow-in-the-dark dinosaur on my night table for the last 12 years. And every night before I go to bed, when I turn out the light, that thing is glowing in the dark, and I think of Sarah and Edward. I used to know that before I go to bed, and I've been doing that for 12 years, and I will continue to do that. And I feel like I have a little memento of Sarah's life for me to have and for the rest of my life. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Edwin. And love you both.
Oh gosh. Hi, I'm Sylvia, and so I don't know Sarah's family, and there's that inner circle, and then I was kind of in the outer circle of friends and community, and Sarah and Edwin, pillars of the community, along with Joyce and Rich and Deirdre and Chris and Karen and Dave, and loving couples, all of them loving couples, and I'm a better person because I know them. And I remember the first time I saw Sarah, we were sitting in a room and she was talking, and I don't exactly remember what she was talking. I just noticed this big smile and dimples and how beautiful she was and how sweet and funny. And over the years, again, haven't really spent any one-on-one time with her, but always at the parties. And whenever I did get a chance to talk to her, she made me feel so special. And it's like you're in your own little world with her. And I remember one of the last parties we went to was a Halloween party, and I was wearing this big purple wig, and I guess I looked extra good that year. Something. And she's like, "You should buy lots of wigs, Sylvia. Many colors." And she was just fun. And she gave everyone permission to have fun, and I could hear her laughing. I can't even imitate it properly. It's just, oh, and I'm wearing bling. See the sparkly, she's all like glitter and rhinestones, and I just wanted to wear this in honor of Sarah. Sparkles. I love you, Sarah. That's it.
Hi, my name is Miles. I met Sarah when she started dating Tito Edwin. When I met Sarah, I was like, I was a teenager, right? I had my guard up, I had my defenses up, and my brothers and I were all, let's say, we're all connoisseurs of child therapists. So when we heard that Sarah was like a child therapist, like I was like immediately skeptical. I was very defensive. I was like, but when I met her in person, she was really nice, and everyone, like my brothers and I, we all like, did our huddle. Like nobody who's nice like that is really genuinely nice, but absolutely she is. Sarah is genuinely kind. At family functions, like I remember her playing around with my baby cousins and being just a presence for like everyone in the family, not just like the grown-ups, like not just having grown-up talk. And when I grew into my own adulthood, I was able to have like conversations and confide in her and tell her about some of the troubles I was going through, and she would genuinely listen. I'm definitely devastated that it's not here anymore, but I definitely see her as a role model when I work with my students and stuff too. Thank you.
We're gonna miss our sisters. She was a very good soul. Would light up the room with her smile. You always feel a little bit better after you've seen their spirit is not strong. Thank you, Sarah. She had one second
Sarah, just want to tell you that I miss you and thank you for
and then another section.
I'm Arlene, the sister of Edwin, and I just want to say that I will truly miss Sarah. We were truly the better half to my Kuya Edwin. And you are forever in my hearts, in our hearts. God's been saying.
Sarah.
Sarah, miss you.
Hi, Sarah. I'm just blessed to have known you. You're an amazing, unbelievable, loving person. And I just love how we would laugh. And it was like an inside joke between us about the insanity of the world or people, and not laugh at them, but just yeah. So I guess I just wanted to say that, and it just felt like you knew me and you got me, and that's all I wanted to say. Be well, Angel.
Hi, Sarah. It's Deirdre and Chris, and it's so strange to be talking to you like this. I heard all of these wonderful things that your family on your side, on Edwin's side, said, and the stories were poignant and sad and happy and funny. And I just wish that I had been able to spend more time with you than I did. Because obviously you're such a wonderful person. Every time I saw you, you were smiling. I think the first time I met you was at this pizza party for Chris, and you came over with a big smile and a warm hug, and it's like, wow, she must be a really good friend of Chris. And maybe you were, or even if you weren't, this is who you were. And I just look forward to seeing you, and it was 4th of July and Richard Joyce's and wherever else. And now I just wish it had been, more times. And I know you were an LMFT, and I just got my license, and I just want to say I'm proud of you that you did that, and I think you were proud of me. So thank you.
Sarah, it's so sweet. You were
like I just remember you as a friend that just never had a bad word to say about anybody, and what like what a pure soul you were, and it just it's hard for me to just sort of come to the place where it's like I know you're happy now, but you've never not been happy, and and that's something like I strive for, just seeing how like I don't know how you do it, how you did it, but I know everything you did was about being happy, and it was so easy for you. We miss you.
Hello, my name is Dion. I knew Sarah for about 20 years in a support group where we were looking for love in the wrong places and learning how to heal and find love in the right places. After the meeting, sometimes we would talk one-on-one, Sarah and I, and she put her hand on my thigh because she was a very tactile person. I didn't think she was coming on. It was her way of showing love and being engaged, and I really felt through that precious energy like my son Josiah, being of light. My son Josiah 12 years ago called me crying and he couldn't speak. His doctor came on the line and she said he had stage 4 liver cancer. He died a few months later. His wife, Josiah's wife, jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge a year later. This was 12 and 11 years ago. So I know what it's like to lose a loved one before their time. I'm sorry for Sarah. I blamed myself initially, but then later I saw that Josiah taught me love. Josiah taught me how to love as much as I taught him, and I'm grateful for Josiah in my life, and I'm grateful for Sarah in my life, who also has taught me better to love. Thank you.
Hi. My name's Karen, and I love Sarah very much, and will cherish our friendship. I first met Sarah at a retreat, and we were both. She's just as bouncy as me, if not a little bit more bouncy. And she was always wearing all pink and running around like crazy and loving everyone, just all the things that everyone said, when we danced, she would jump onto the ground and get on her hands and knees and run around and like a little dog. Yeah. And I jumped on top of her and spanked her butt like boom boom, rabbit pussycat. And she was just howling, laughing, and just, oh my God, just the inner child in her met the inner child in everyone that I saw. And and then there's the other really loving, deep side of Sarah, where I shared with her. I had been very insecure for so many years about this, my whole life. About my intelligence, and I always thought I was stupid, and I hadn't really told anyone about it. And I shared with her. This was about maybe 18 years ago. I shared about this with her, and I had so much shame talking to her. And she goes, "Karen, you're like the." She said it like this. She says, "Karen, you're like the smartest person I know." Just like that. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was there screaming there. And I was absolutely sure she was lying or wrong, but Sarah doesn't lie. And Sarah's so smart. She says maybe there's some kind of kernel of truth, just always trying to take people's pain away. And that's why I have to say I love you, Sarah, and I love all my darling friends and family. And hang in there. We're together.
Hello. I just wanted to share a story about Sarah as well. Today was such an amazing day, truly a celebration of life. Hearing all the stories about Sarah and how wonderful she is made me realize how much more wonderful she is than I already thought she was. And just one little story with my brother Edwin. We had arranged this trip to go to Yosemite. One of those bucket list items where I wanted to hike up Half Dome, and my brother shared the same desire. We had tried one time, didn't quite make it. The second time around, we said, okay, we're going to make it this time. And Sarah joined us for that trip. And but she stayed at the base camp along with another friend. And my brother and I started very early in the morning and thought that we were going to come back all victorious by around 5 p.m. that day after hiking up Half Dome. And we had planned a celebratory dinner at Alwani Hotel. Well, that hike was much more difficult than we thought. We ended up coming back to the valley, to base camp at 10 p.m. instead of 5 p.m. And we were so exhausted. Well, the first person we saw when we finally arrived there was Sarah. And I'm sure my brother probably doesn't remember this all that much because he's used to her. But for me, when we came back, and Sarah just had so much joy. She was jumping up and down, excited that we were back. She made us feel like we came back to this amazing hard adventure. It was just one day hike. But that just really made my day. It just made that exhausted feeling that I had go away. You know, because she was just so happy to see us. And, you know, wow. What amazing time you had with Sarah and to have that every day in your life, I'm sure was amazing. I got a little glimpse of that. I'm truly grateful to have shared that moment with Sarah and with my brother. And I'm really going to miss you, that smile and that enthusiasm and that zest for life. I take that as a lesson. I'm always going to remember that whenever I'm feeling down. Be like Sarah. I love you so much.